So, apologies for anyone who had to put up with those technical difficulties we had there. We are back on a new stream. Please ping in the comments, let me know you're still with me. Let me know you can still hear me, actually, that would be really handy. Because I don't actually know if I can be heard or not right now. So, as I was saying before, we start the second round now. We have managed to, good job, we kept a total of the points. So we know that RP Lai is currently out in front on 25 points. That will be tallied up at the end of the night, hopefully by some of the guys who are better at maths than I am. Let me just take 2 seconds whilst I check the stream and I check that we are back up and running with good sound. And that has been checked. Winner, winner. Right, so we now wait for the drivers then to select their setups for round 2 of this tournament. Apologies once again for the technical issues. It's Codemasters at their very best there, selecting a reverse grid. And then it goes and puts everyone in random positions. So, the grid, as it should have been following round 1, sees Era 6's Williams on pole position, Connor in his Ferrari taking P2. P3 goes the way of Mechanical, and Sir Jake starts in P4. P5 goes the way of Stander in the Mercedes. Angry Dutch Guy takes P6 in the Haas. 7th goes the way of the second of the commentary team in the McLarens to Scotty. P8 Ryan in the Alpine, and P9 Drew in the AlphaTauri. 10th goes the way of Woolsey, and 11th goes the way of Grimmy. Those two, once again, we're hoping to see another excellent battle between the pair of them. And P12 goes to Jimmer. Quick Killers, who finished 3rd in race 1. Blum, who found P2 on the podium in 14th. Cool, hiccups already. We're only a couple of years in. And RP Lai starting at the back of the grid. Now, the only difference there that I noticed on that run through the grid, if we look at the details here, we see Blumchum now opting to start on the mediums from that position on the grid. So he's expecting to be able to make a long run on the mediums. We've got 11 laps here at Spa de Francorchamps, or however you would pronounce that in your natural tongue, as the drivers head round their formation lap now, just trying to get that heat into their tyres. Let's get the tyre information away from the screen. We've got Blum and Albert both starting on the medium tyre. Let's get that gone. Let's get rid of that, and let's get rid of the ordering. In fact, let's just skip back up to the top of the order. Let's go back this way. We should get Era 6's Williams. There we go, as he rounds the final turn to start this race here. Round 2 of the pre-season 3 tournament. We're quite a way back off the start line there. I'm going to struggle to see the lights from here. But it's going to be a short run, a drag, as you would say, down to turn 1, La Source, as they head up the kink to turn 2, and then into Eau Rouge and Radion, and up towards the Kemmel Straight. Will Era 6 be able to maintain that lead? We've seen him become a little bit more consistent throughout Season 2, as there we see Blumchum joining the back of the pack, and RP Lai rounding out your 15 cars on this grid tonight. The green flag is waved there by the marshal on the pit wall, and very, very shortly we should see some lights start to appear on that gantry. Here we go then. 4, 5 lights. The revs all rise, and it's lights out, and away we go here in Spa. A Ferrari there making an excellent start. Connor makes a cracking start around the outside of Era 6. A little bit of contact between the two, which allows, I believe, Mechanical to get himself up. And there's an Alpine there, just turning himself round. And that looks like Ryan, who's now found himself down the bottom of the order. Era 6 then dropping to P4. Selected pit strategies are soft runners 6 to 9. So expect it very, very similar to Russia But you can see Error 6 dropping back to P4 now. Mechanical, your commentator, holds the lead of this race from Connor in the Ferrari and Sir Jake in the first of the two Williams cars, rounding out your top three then, as we see every single car now head down towards turn 10 and 11. Brussels is turn 10 and 11 here. Now we go down towards turn 12 and 13, so the strategy's still up on the board there, but Scotty then losing out, it would seem, to Woolsey in the Alpine. Oh no, is that Jimmer dropping? Jimmer dropping back to RP Light. So RP Light's got the move done on Jimmer. Looks like he's got a move done on the McLaren as well. As a McLaren there, Scotty running very, very wide indeed around that very long turn 12. It was a very, very difficult corner there. You don't want to cut the inside curve there, because that can be absolutely lethal if your tyres touch that inside curve. But we ride on board now with RP Light, who sits himself in behind Quick Killers in P8. So these guys have got the jump there really on Blumchump, who's still sitting himself down in P13. So exactly where he started. Drew now making a move on Jimmer, it would seem. Jimmer may have a couple of issues, because you can see in the background Blumchump looking to make the move around the outside down towards turn 9. And that's Jimmer diving into the pit lane early on turn 1. So has he got damage? We're about to find out as we ride on board with him in the pit lane. Mechanical still leads then after lap 1 from Connor and Sir Jake. Error 6 dropping another position there into P5, and RP Lai seemingly making up another position to P8. So we can see, yes, there is a wing going on the Alpha Tauri of Jimmer, who decides he's going to switch out for the hard tyre compound. An interesting choice, but with a long time left in this race, he's hoping to stay out all the way to the end. But Scotty, meanwhile, behind him, looks like he's gone for the medium compound, as we see him drive past the pit wall now in that orange McLaren. Yes, he has indeed gone for the medium tyre compound. So let's jump back up to the leaders then. We can see Connor has picked himself up a penalty, along with Blumchump and Ryan, all three of those picking up track limit 3-second penalties as they now run down towards turn 12. Angry Dutch Guy, the first retirement then of this session as we ride on board with Jimmer. Let's get that track map up as Jimmer makes a little bit of a slippery move there, coming through Lacombe's. Turns 7, 8 and 9, gets very, very slippery on the grass. That's not going to fare up very well on those hard tyres. Obviously it's quite a slippery compound when it's cold. As you can see, he might well be struggling a little bit there coming through these next turns. You can see Angry Dutch Guy's stricken Haas there on the left hand side of the road. So maybe he just lost it coming out of turn 11 and just managed to turn it onto the wall on his inside. So it's a virtual safety car then, and we are now back racing again. His car was off the circuit, so like I say, virtual safety car, and we are back again. Standard then, new full-time driver here with LNR. He has reserved before many a time, sits on the rear end of Sir Jake, who sits right on the gearbox of Connor. He's nipping away as they look towards that big incline up through Eau Rouge and into Radion. Sir Jake taking all of the curb on the inside from this angle. Looks like he gets an excellent run. Let's just jump on board and see how close he is to that Ferrari of Connor. He's got himself in the slipstream. Is he going to be able to make a run? He's going to have a little bit of a look up the inside. Gets a little bit of a dive as they now head into... Oh, there's contact between the two of them, and they're both off the circuit, and that could be a massive issue. Sir Jake there having contact with Connor's Ferrari. Let's just see what happens. It looks like Sir Jake maybe comes across a little bit deep. Should have potentially left a little bit more room looking at the replay there. So we'll let this play out and see exactly how it goes. But in the meantime, that promotes Error 6 back up to P3 with a little bit of a gap. RP Lies Aston Martin chasing along behind him. Let's just check Connor to see if he had any damage following that collision. It doesn't seem to have caused any issues to the front fins, but may have just put him off his rhythm, because he's now being swarmed by Quick Killers, who manages to get the run down the outside as they head through into Sector 3. And now he has Wolsey's Alpine sitting right on his gearbox. Wolsey looking very eager tonight indeed, and he is looking to make the move on the inside. He's going to get the position there. He holds that very well. Fantastic move from Wolsey on Connor. So that's Wolsey up another position to P6. let's just continue to jump back up to the top, because we see that Error 6 has made a move on Stander as well, who seems to have been dropping down the order. Has he gone in the pit lane? We're not sure. We haven't got a notification to say he's in the pit. So an issue there for Stander moves Error 6 up into P2. 6.3 seconds off the rear end of Mechanical 1989 in the McLaren as he heads through Eau Rouge and Radion and down the Kemmel straight. So, we now see that RP Lai and the rest of the battle pack, consisting of Stander, Quick Killers and Wolsey, now catching the rear end of Error 6's Williams. You can see them just storming up. They're now within that DRS range, within a second of the birthday boy Dan Dunmore. Oh, and he's off in the gravel, just touching the tyre wall there. He's cut it very fine indeed, as he now heads through Sector 3. So Sector 3, once again, it's a very, very, very quick sector. You want to be able to take your line very well, not like Dan did there, because he's just lost about 3 or 4 positions through that. He's just taken a very, very wide line on the exit as he now dives in the pit lane. Maybe that's a sign that his tyres are beginning to show signs of wear on lap 5. He's been pushing for the first 5 laps. A little bit of gravel, a little bit of dirt picked up along route as Grimmy sets the fastest lap, a 1:46.1. Drew Cam now making that position up on Error 6. So let's take a little look then and see who has made their stop already. And you can see now Connor has made his stop, Error 6 making his stop now, Scotty, Jimmer and Blumchum have all stopped. Meanwhile, then we see RP Lai. Let's get on board with RP Lai, because once again, this is your current standings leader from Quick Killers. Blumchum, unfortunately, unable to make many of a position up here in Spa. He was, in fact, telling me earlier on that although he loves the circuit, it's not one of his most talented drives. As we can see, Connor once again maybe running into some issues there as he's on the grass through the Coombs turns 7 and 8. So he's not having a very, very good race here. He got off to a fantastic start, but it looks like he may have a little bit of damage there as well, judging by the understeer on that car, as we can see him run through turn 11 in Brussels. He's got no wing, so he loses out to Jimmer, and that's Blumchum coming right up behind him. You'd expect Blumchum to get him here around turn 12, and yes, he does. So Connor, unfortunately, will have to limp back to the pits as your leader decides now is the time to dive in the pit lane to sling on those medium tyres. So, a new leader then for you here. It is Stander in the Mercedes, followed by RP Lai and then Grimmy. Mechanical deciding it's the time of the race to pit, along with Quick Killers. So Quick Killers may be looking for the undercut here on RP Lai, because he was really battling with RP Lai there, trying to stick to the rear end. So he's going to be hoping that while Stander and RP Lai are up front there battling, and there's the move. There's the move round the outside into Lacombe's down off of the Kemmel straight. RP Lai makes his move on Stander and will now try and accelerate off up the road. So we can see, if we ride on board with Stander, that RP Lai has managed to get that done quite comfortably. As we see, Error 6 now has retired from the session. Looks like he's lost it up through Eau Rouge. Let's have a little look, see if we can see from Blumchum's perspective. Yes, he has indeed lost it coming up through Eau Rouge into Radion. So unfortunate result for him there. His second DNF of the night. I hope he doesn't keep that up through this next season, Dan. Come on, we've got to go for those points together. We're teammates now. So I'm going to have a lot of support I'll take you under my wing. But that is now a full course safety car, which of course will benefit your new race leaders. RP Light, Stander and even Grimmy as well will potentially get himself a chance to stop here and not lose too many positions. So we will wait and see exactly what happens as RP Light heads up towards turns 19 and 20, which is just called, as you'd expect, chicane. You'd expect him to dive into the pit lane, as he does there. Stander also jumping into the pit lane. 10 seconds back from them is Grimmy, so he'll have the chance to jump in the pit lane and get himself a free stop. But it will be Mechanical, I'd expect, who will take the lead here. As RP Lai jumps in the pit box, you can see Mechanical will now be taking the lead once more of this race. So he started very, very well, got the lead, and because of his safety car, his early stop has allowed him back as he now pulls in behind the Mercedes of Bert Meyerlander. And that allows me time to drink some more beer. And it's strange, most of the drivers down the back end of the field there now opting to go into the pit lane, maybe trying to pick up that fastest lap, maybe just trying to get a bit of extra pace. You know, we've got 4 laps to run, we're going to have a bunched up restart. The soft tyre runners could make a big difference here. Let's just head into the menus here and have a little look at the tyres. So as we suggest, as I've just mentioned there, we saw Jimmer, who was on the hard compound of tyre. He's decided to go back to the medium compound, but everyone around him, look, has opted for that soft compound. So you see the likes of Blum, Scotty, Ryan, Connor, all going for that soft compound restart because they're aiming to just try and make a few positions. They know the guys in front of them have had to go onto the mediums if they've not made their stop already, but these guys have already made a stop for one reason or another, so they will opt for the soft tyres with 4 laps remaining in this race and potentially only 3 racing laps. We should see, well, they'll be hoping to gain a few quick positions and just try and bump themselves up the order somewhat. So we'll run you back through the order once more then, because I've got nothing better to do right now. So we've got Mechanical in the McLaren leading this race here in Spa from RP Lies, Aston Martin and Standards Mercedes. P4 is currently Quick Killers, who will want to be directly behind, if not in front, ideally in front of RP Lai, to avoid him from extending his lead here in this tournament championship. Grimmy, running P5, has managed to separate himself from his current tournament rival, which is Wolsey, and Sir Jake dropping to P6 following that contact with Connor. It was a bit of a 50-50, that one. Not really had a chance to look back at it. Saw the replay once on the monitor that's sitting to my right, but other than that, we've not really had a chance to analyse that issue as such. It looked almost like as they both entered Lacombe's there, turn 7, it looked almost like Sir Jake cut across in front on the exit just to try and shut the door, and there was just a little bit of a mishap there. You've got to be able to allow another driver enough room. I know obviously it looks like Connor makes the contact there, but you've got to expect to be able to make a bit of room there for a defending driver to take his intended line. Drew then, his AlphaTauri sits P7, and P8 is Wolsey's Alpine as they all head down the Camel Straight once more behind the safety car of Bert Meyerlander. Ryan sitting P9, and P10 goes the way of the second of the commentary team. Rounding out the points, it's Scotty 1597, Blumsham sitting P11, and Connor now down to P12. Jimmer sitting 13th, and remember that Jimmer is on the medium compound tyre. The cars 12, 11, 10 and 9 ahead of him, Ryan, Scotty, Blum and Connor, are all running the soft compound of tyre. So let's jump back up to the front of the pack and sit on board here with the McLaren Mechanical and discuss restarts. Race restarts here in Spa. We've not seen one yet tonight, so this will be the first. From personal experience, apologies, I seem to have a little bit of a sniffle. But from my experiences here, once again, it's very similar to Russia. You come out of turn 20 and you head down the start-finish straight. You've not got a massive jump, so you ideally need to go before chicane. You really, really need to go between turn 18 and 19. That's straight down there somewhere. Just get the jump into the chicane. Try and get a really nice exit out, and hopefully catch your competitors off guard somewhat. So we will be expecting the safety car in this lap, and there we have it. Race control says safety car in this lap, so we will now see Mechanical start to back the pack up and allow Burt up the road, because remember, the safety car must be in the pit lane before any racing commences. So Mechanical will back the pack up, I'd expect, and you'd like to see a restart fairly early down this next straight, round this corner here, around turn 18, up towards chicane. I'd expect to see the restart, allowing Burt into the pit lane, because there's not a massive run down that start-finish straight before the timing line. Remember, the timing line is where racing begins again and the sections go green. He's backed the pack up, and RP Lai is right behind him now as we round the 20th turn here in Spa, and it's RP Lai who almost has the jump on Mechanical as they head now down towards the source. Turn 1 is the right-hander, dipping it in nicely tight to the apex, covering off that inside line, but RP Lai looks to have an excellent run on Mechanical as they head up to Eau Rouge. It's a very, very bold place to make a move through Eau Rouge and Radion, so RP Lai thinks better of it. You can just hear the engine there as he lets off ever so slightly, and he makes a lunge down the Kemmel straight. Looks like he's going to get the move. He's in the slipstream, moves over to the inside line as they head down to Lacombe, turn 7, and it's Mechanical who's the late of the late breakers, who dives deep into turn 7 and holds a tight line through turn 8 and covers him off in turn 9. Excellent defensive work there from Mechanical on RP Lai. Further back down the order then, do we see any other movement? Stander managing to hold off from Quick Killers, who's biting at the rear end of that Mercedes, and Grimmy sitting just behind Quick Killers' Red Bull, who just picks up a 3-second time warning along with Sir Jake. So the pair of them picking up time penalties for track limits. Let's take a little look then on the details of position changes. We've got RP Lai up 13 positions and Grimmy and Quick Killers up 6 and 9 respectively, but Stander then having to back off of the rear end of RP Lai there. Doesn't want to get too involved in this battle. He's going to let RP Lai maybe nibble at the rear end of Mechanical, see if he can pry the door open and maybe just capitalise on that. Sector 3, and that's Grimmy. Grimmy is off the circuit now, and that is a big impact. That looks like a huge impact at turn 16. So they've come through turn 14, which is Campus, 15 Stavelot, and then down towards 16. It looks like Grimmy may have hit the wall on the inside there, because you do cut it very, very fine. But we are still racing now as we start lap 10. It's Quick Killers then, who's now made that position on Standards down into La Source and up towards Eau Rouge, but it looks like Stander is going to make that move back, and he gets the move done just before they hit Eau Rouge and catapults his Mercedes back up onto the podium. So he has made a fantastic move there before Eau Rouge, because it is, like I say, very ambitious to try and keep the stability of the car there. As we can see, RP Lai now battling with Mechanical for the race lead. We're going to ride on board with this for a minute, because it's such a tight battle that we want to see exactly how this pans out. We've changed that to interval. We can see the timings there, and we can see Ryan and Scotty running fairly close together further down the order. We might jump to that in just a second, but at the minute it's RP Lai on Mechanical's McLaren as they head down through turn 12 and up towards sector 3. This is now turns 13, 14 and 15, called Campus here in Spa. And sector 3 begins just after turn 15. And this is where you'd expect, if RP Lai can get a little bit closer, you'd expect him to get an excellent slipstream up through sector 3. It's a flat out sector of the circuit, relies solely on taking the correct line, but it's so unfortunate that we lost Grimmy there. because he was in for some excellent position gains and some great points there. And here we go then. A DRS zone here. A short stint DRS zone towards turn 1. And it's been re-enabled, so we should see DRS then on the Kemmel straight just after Radion. Connor picks himself up another 3-second time penalty, but this time, look how close RP Lai is on the exit of turn 1 on Mechanical's McLaren. He picks up the slipstream all the way through Eau Rouge. Mechanical cutting the corner there and just maybe carried a bit too much momentum. Quick Killers has retired from the session. We've lost him in Sector 1, and that's a yellow flag, Sector 1. But they've come through the DRS zone. RP Lai has made the position there as they head down towards the Coombs. We're yet to see what's happened to Quick Killers. We may see very shortly on Drew Cam's image. We can't. So that is Quick Killers out of the race, and that is not exactly what he's going to want to see, because RP Lai has just taken the lead. Let's take a little look at penalties, because they are about to come into play here. 3 seconds then for RP Lai, and it's Mechanical sitting P2, 9/10 off of that Aston Martin. So most drivers have penalties, all bar Mechanical, Scotty and Woolsey, all of who can make some excellent positions up here because of those penalties. 9 seconds then for Jimmer, Ryan and Connor means that potentially Drew could make himself a position or two up here, but I highly doubt it. A yellow flag then in Sector 2. Looks like we've lost Ryan's Alpine. Looks like he's been going very, very slow as we ride on board now with RP Lai as he heads up into the final sector. The run up to chicane now as he hits the braking point. Ryan is now retired from the session down in Sector 3. His Alpine stricken there down by Campus. But it is RP Lai who takes his second victory here. I say second victory, on the road it is, but it's Mechanical who picks up the victory, and Blumchum has retired from the session as well. So RP Lai will extend his lead here on the championship. It's Mechanical from RP Lai, from Scotty, then Stander. Woolsey takes P5, so Jake 6th, Jimmer 7th, Connor, I believe, was 8th, and Drew Cam 9th. So your commentary team then both managing to pick up a podium tonight. It's all about the McLaren madness. Well played, Colin. Excellent race. Well driven from the start there. And just kept it clean throughout. Didn't need to defend and put things at risk. So he knew exactly what he needed to do to win that race. He knew the penalty was there. Just had to stay within that 3-second bracket. And he done so excellently. So it is Mechanical then who takes victory here in Spa from RP Lai. RP Lai, however, up from P15 on the grid, made one stop and got on the podium once more, picking himself up some more valuable points. Scotty takes P3, Stander P4. Woolsey takes 5th, so Jake in the Williams takes 6th, Jimmer takes 7th in the end from P12, and P8 goes to Connor. 9th goes the way of Drew Cam, and from there on in we lost the other drivers, Blumchum, Ryan, Quick Killers, Grimmy and Error 6, and of course we also lost Angry Dutch Guy early doors. How does that work for the standings? Well, we've got to remember, I will be adding these on at the end, but RP Lai picking himself up another valuable 18 points, Mechanical picking himself up 25 points, and Scotty picking up 15 points for that third place on the podium. Join us in just a few seconds whilst we prepare the grid and get ourselves ready for round 3, which will be taking place in the Netherlands at Zandvoort. We will be right back with you. So, we are back. Well, I'm back. And it's time for us to chat round 3 of the tournament, which is going to be taking place in Zandvoort, which is a personal favourite circuit of mine, I must admit, having raced it in multiple seasons now. I really do like the circuit. Great fun, flows really well, cracking banked corners as well. It just gives that old school sense of what motorsport always has needed. And I must admit, if I was to go and watch an F1 race this season, I would probably pick the Dutch Grand Prix purely for the atmosphere that it creates. It seems like an absolute party atmosphere there this year, or the year just gone, I should say. So let's have a little look at it. It's a 2.6 mile circuit as it happens. I'm just trying to do a little bit of research on it as we wait for the guys to load in. And here we go. The guys are readying up now. Yeah, 2.6 mile circuit of Zandvoort. The main attractions really are, like I say, that final banked corner in Sector 3. There's not really many corner names as it goes. I don't think, from what I can find out anyway. But it has been home to many a race in its time. It's been around for a fair old while. And when I say fair old while, I mean like 1930s, I believe. So it would have been home to really, really early Formula One, like pre-World War II races. In fact, I can tell you now, it was the 3rd of June 1935 was the first race around here. It started its Formula One Dutch Grand Prix career in 1950 and has been on and off ever since then. The last one prior to 2021 was in 1985. Of course, we were supposed to have one in 2020, but due to the pandemic, that was all changed. But once again, another circuit that's been very popular in recent years with things like TCR Europe, which is the touring car series, Formula 3, and the FIA WTCR, which is the World Touring Car Championships. They took place there in 2007, 2018 and 19. But here we go then, your grid for round 3 here in Zandvoort. Starts with Error 6 as he goes round turn 1 now. Angry Dutch Guy starts P2. The pair of them not having a very good start to this tournament. They've both had unfortunate DNFs in the first couple of races. Your pit strategy then, lap 9 ideally for the soft runners. And we will carry on running through the grid. I'm getting a bit waylaid here, I'm getting a bit bogged down. P3, we see Connor, who once again had an unfortunate pair of races. An excellent driver straight off the line, but consistency seemed to be his issue in the first couple of rounds. Ryan then in P4, getting a little bit slippery by the look of things, and that Alpine on the curb. P5 goes the way of Sir Jake, 15, and 6th to Drew Cam in that glorious looking AlphaTauri. 7th goes the way of Grimmy, who's opted for that medium tyre compound in the Mercedes. Had a very... It was such a shame to see him DNF from Spa, because he was in such a promising position there as well to pick up some excellent points from round 2. But he will try and make it up here in the Netherlands. Stander, his teammate, I will put in quotes as they're both driving the Mercedes, starts P8. Quick Killers in P9, and Scotty in P10, who's hanging right onto the gearbox of that Red Bull. Wolsey starts P11, Jimmer in the other AlphaTauri starts P12, and Blumcham once again opting medium tyre P13. Mechanical starts P14, it's a reverse championship grid, remember, so Mechanical starts P14. 15th goes the way of RP Lai. We say reverse championship, it will be reverse of the previous race, I should say there, because of the way the championship standings are currently working out. We've got Error 6 currently working on a spreadsheet. As we skip to the front then, we'll clear a lot of this UI away keep that track map open, because we are about to see the lights come up on that gantry. We've got 4 of them, we've got 5 of them, and it is about to be lights out and away we go here in Zandvoort for round 3 of the pre-season tournament. An excellent start there from Angry Dutch Guy on the medium compound tyre, getting himself out ahead of the Williams of Era 6, who seems to be forced a little bit wide by Connor out onto the gravel. So it's Connor in P2, and there's Dan going off of the circuit into the grass, taking a little tap off the wall, trying to rejoin the circuit then as quickly as he can to try and stick with these guys. It's now, we've got a couple of guys who have lost it coming out of the hairpin. That's Jimmer and Wolsey, who are both now out of this session. A virtual safety car then, as Angry Dutch Guy makes a fantastic start. Connor gets up into P2, P3 goes the way of Sir Jake, and 4th goes to Ryan. So position changes then. We're not quite sure exactly what happened there in the background. I can't actually see. And Jonas Borgs, I'm going to spy this shit up. That's, once again, it's a fantastic place to go and watch a race as well. Get a spot up at Eau Rouge, and you're laughing, really. Plenty of action happening up around there. But we can see Angry Dutch Guy there just getting squiddly over the gravel, so lost a little bit of focus maybe. 18 laps here of Zandvoort. Jimmer has unfortunately retired from the session. So not a very good race for him once again. And someone who's looking to potentially get himself on that trophy. And that might well be him retiring from the evening as a whole. Looks like there may have been a little bit of contact there between Wolsey's Alpine and Jimmer's Alpha Tauri on the exit of turn 3, the hairpin, the left-hand banked hairpin, which is always a bit of a nightmare, because if you clip the exit curb and put the power down, that can cause a fair amount of issues. But so we race on, we continue here. We've lost 2 drivers now, and we are now behind the safety car again. So has anyone decided to make a pit stop during that? It's only Ryan who's made the stop. He has now gone onto the medium compound tyre, and he steps in there behind Era 6. So he's the only driver to stop. He's taken advantage of that free stop. And personally, I reckon around here, those medium tyres, they go the distance. So we're hoping to not be stuck behind this safety car for very long. As we see once again, Bert Mylander cracking out his Aston Martin. He's had his entire fleet out this evening. So we just eagerly await this restart here. Let's have a little bit more of a look into the circuit as a whole. There's not much really that's changed massively. In fact, before we look at the circuit again, let's just, whilst we're here, just have a little look at position changes so we can see who are the big winners of this so far. And really and truly, it's the back, or I say the back 3. There's a group of 3 there, Blumchum, Mechanical and RP Live, all 3 of which moving up through the order quite nicely. Blumchum's going to want to try and extend his lead from RP Line and just hope the Mechanical maybe holds him up just a touch. So we might jump onto that battle when this race restarts, because that's going to be an interesting one. Once again, we're talking restarts here in Zandvoort, so it will be Angry Dutch Guy to make the decision as to when he's going to go. Once the lights on top of the Aston Martin safety car go out. And now it's a difficult one once again, because you want to try and get that jump there between the last couple of turns. So as you enter sector 3, you've got essentially 2 turns. You've got the right hander just before it turns towards the bank, and here we go. Safety car will be in this lap, so you're going to want to try and get that jump between the 2 corners, hold the power down through that banked corner and just get the jump. But we've got to remember Connor there, so here we go then. We can see Angry Dutch Guy back in the pack up relatively early. He's had the notification to say that car's coming in. He's on the medium tyre. Apologies if you can hear my dog. He thinks he's a hamster sometimes, and he is absolutely going hell for leather at his bed. But the medium tyre compound, so he's on the slower compound of tyre from Connor. Will he be able to get that restart done? He's going to linger it out and just try and catch him maybe unawares on this straight then. He's not opted to go round the bank at full power. He's going to hold it out, and now he decides to put the power down. So the power has gone down, but Connor's stuck with him. Look at the pace of that Ferrari on the soft tyre. Angry Dutch Guy covers off the inside line. Connor forced to look all the way around the outside, thinks better of it. As we have a little look now as they run down towards turns 2 and 3. There's a Ferrari off in the background. Is that? It looked to be maybe... No, it was a McLaren. It's Mechanical who's lost a few positions there on the restart. But look how close Connor is as we ride on board with him right behind Angry Dutch Guy as they head down towards this dip through Sector 1 down towards Sector 2 now. This is a really interesting section of the circuit because that dip, you need to just drop a single gear, not necessarily let off, just drop the gear, let the engine brake and take hold as he looks towards the inside line once again. Angry Dutch Guy shutting the door on the Ferrari as they now head down towards the last few turns of the lap, the chicane, a very, very tight chicane, difficult to make a move there because touch any of that inside curb and you're going to be launching yourself into an unpredictable state. And then you could end up potentially taking the pair of you out. So you just want to maybe focus now on trying to stick behind that Haas to try and get the slipstream down towards turn 1. But it seems like Angry Dutch Guy's pulled himself out a little bit of a gap, sets the fastest lap on 1:14, but that's quickly beaten by Scotty with 1:14.4 in the McLaren, currently running P6. Ryan, they're making a move there on RP Lai as they head down towards turn 1. So RP Lai moving down the order to P9, and that means that he has got Blumsham's Ferrari right behind him. RP Lai taking the higher line through the hairpin, looking to really, really get that exit that he wants to run up the hill to finish out Sector 1 right behind the Alpine of Ryan there as they dive down the hill. Ryan looks to have let off a little bit. He's on the medium tyre, remember. He's the only driver here so far to have necessarily made that stop. Ryan runs a little bit wide on the exit. RP Lai dives up the inside and gets that position back. But Ryan's going to fight it. He's going to have the inside line here running down into where the second DRS zone will be. We'll have to filter in behind the Aston Martin because he can't quite get that move done. So we will now just try and get a nice view of this as they head down towards the chicane. You can see everyone filing through there nice and cleanly. So an exciting restart it seems, but Angry Dutch Guy manages to hold that P1 position. Will he get himself another victory? It'll be great to see him back up on the podium again if he can hold on to it. But Connor, once again, 2 tenths back. As you can see the pair of them in the distance there, just going hammer and tong at this. Quick Killers then setting the fastest lap of the race, a 1:13.2. Race control says DRS is enabled this lap. So Angry Dutch Guy now, running currently P1. Will he want to make his stop anytime soon, or will he want to linger it out? Because he knows these soft running tyres are going to start to go off soon. There's a lot of stresses due to the banked corners of this. I think it's just the general nature of this circuit. You tend to just find that it can be a bit of a cruel mistress sometimes, as Connor there running very wide, taking a little look around the outside, trying to use that advanced amount of grip that he's got on Angry Dutch Guy. Gets very, very squiddly indeed, and that allows Sir Jake to get the run down the outside. He's got the DRS, he's got the position done, covers it off, and there we see Stander trying to have a little peek up the inside of Connor's Ferrari there, not quite getting the move done. He's going to sit in behind that pack of 3. Sir Jake's Williams there just rubbing the rear end of the Haas, and Stander trying to get out the inside, turns his Mercedes there, and that's a big moment there for the pair of them on the bank section of the circuit, and that's Stander and I believe Quick Killers and Sir Jake, all 3 of them involved in that. Sir Jake has retired from the session. Whoa, what a moment. It just seemed to all unravel there as we hit that bank section of the circuit. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to... I'll try and analyse this as I can have a little look back on exactly what's going on. We've got a yellow flag then in Sector 1, a few cars involved in that. But you can just see on the replay I've got here, Stander just trying to make the move as Sir Jake just dives that bank corner. A little bit of contact between the pair of them just unsettles both cars, and they both end up turning. Quick Killer seems to come off of his own accord and just send himself through the middle of that pack, whether that was that impact that put him off. But really unfortunate there for all the drivers involved, because that was looking like a very, very tight battle. But meanwhile, it looks like we've seen Connor have to pit as well. So as Connor jumped in the pit lane under the yellow flags, expecting a little bit more from it. Let's have a little look. He has not. So he's had an issue as well. But we can see, meanwhile, Scotty in the McLaren taking the lead of this race then down the outside of Angry Dutch Guy into turn 1. Behind him, we've got RP Lai, who's made himself way up the order into P3, and Grimmy then running P4. Stander retires from the session out in Sector 2, probably on very, very hot tyres, with or without a little bit of damage as well from the contact prior to that. What a race it's been so far. But as you can see now, Connor decides this is the point in which he needs to pit just to try and make something different. And Scotty's retired from the session as well now. Scotty, we've lost him. What's happened? I completely missed that. Let's take a little look at what's going on and see if I can catch up with that on my replay. So it looks like Scotty's heading up the hill. May well have just lost it on the dip. He's potentially clipped the exit curb a bit too much. Yep, he's clipped the exit curb a bit too much, turned it into the wall on the right-hand side. So that is a full course caution. Once again, Bert Meilander deployed to Zandvoort. And we have now lost 5 drivers from this race. So, not quite what we would have wanted. But we see, once again, a lot of free pit stops being able to take place now. So, Angry Dutch Guy, RP Lai, Grimmy, Ryan, Drew and Blum all deciding to jump in the pits. Error 6 has already stopped, but he's coming into the pit lane, maybe to see on another set of soft tyres, maybe to try and make a bit of a difference. But it is Angry Dutch Guy who leads the race from RP Lai, who is currently sitting once again at P2. So yet another excellent round so far from him. He is really displaying how and why he was in contention for this season, the season just gone, because he really was a consistent driver, and I think the gap towards the end going into China was about 4 points. So I mean, from my perspective, it was shit your pants crazy. Scott in the chat there just lost the rear, looking for the second podium. I know it's it seemed like just a bit too much of the exit curb there on the left hand side. Put the power down. It's quite a common area to have that sort of an issue here in Zandvoort. I myself have done that many a time, and just coming down through the dip, you want to try and carry as much speed as you can. You get a little bit too eager with the power, and then bosh, next thing you know, you're in the wall. There's this, and unfortunately, that's one very much like Bahrain, where you just cannot stop the car from hitting that wall, no matter what you do, no matter how you try. If you bang it down the gears, you try and do whatever you can, there's nothing stopping that car in time. So unfortunately, we have lost Scotty just after he'd taken the lead as well, which is absolutely gutting for him. But we now have Grimmy sitting on the podium, however, with a penalty. I'd assume that's a 3-second penalty. Let's take the stops away here. Let's look at position changes very briefly. We see RP Live once again up 13 places, so he's just absolutely rapid. But looking at this, then we can see the tyres that people have opted for following that pit stop. So RP Lai on the medium tyre, he's going to be able to give it everything he's got then for the last 8 laps of this race, because chances are we're going to have the safety car return to the pit lane on this lap. So he's going to have Grimmy behind him on the soft tyres, from Drew, who's now on the medium tyres, and everyone behind Drew pretty much soft apart from Quick Killer and Mechanical. So a lot of soft runners now going to be trying to go to the end. Will they be able to make it hold out, or will they be pushing a little too hard? Because remember, these bank corners really do play havoc and I believe it's front left. It's more the temperature that's gained in the tyre than the actual wear, really. I tend to find around here that the front left tyre does increase in temperature rather rapidly if you're pushing the car around this circuit. So, and naturally that's because just, you know, weight distribution on those banked corners, you're going to be putting a hell of a lot of pressure on. You've got that long right-handed banked corner where you're pushing all of that weight down on the left-hand side of the car. And it's just a prolonged period of time, so that temperature raises, you lose that grip, and it could be game over very quickly. So safety car is in this lap. Let's take a look at the penalties then. So we have just got Grimmy on that 3 seconds. We'll remember that. We'll take all of this away. We'll get rid of the spectator menu, and we will watch Angry Dutch Guy once again lead the pack round for this safety car restart from RP Live. Where's he going to try and make the jump this time? Is he going to replicate his first attempt, which was just after the banked corner, or will he go slightly earlier? It looks like he's decided he's going to go slightly earlier. No. He's just holding him at a steady pace here. He's not gone just yet. He's put half throttle, and now he's gone for it. And that is a Ferrari off in the background. That looks like Blumchum has just tanked it across the wall. I don't have a clue how he managed to do that, but that looked like a Ferrari has just hit the wall quite rapidly, and it's Blumchum dropping down the order. But meanwhile, RP Lai unable to stick with Angry Dutch Guy. Let's take a little look back down the order. We've got Connor then, who ride on board with his Ferrari as he's all over the back end of Quick Killers on the soft tyre. Quick Killers, remember, on the medium compound. Connor looking to the inside. Quick Killers shutting the door ever so slightly. Connor wanting to try and make a bit more of a line. Quick Killers leaving the door very much open there for Connor to make the move, but not quite enough of the car alongside. He's going to have the grip on the exit here though, so we're now free abreast, and that's contact between Connor and Quick Killers. That's a wing going here, there and everywhere. That looks like Connor has lost his front wing again as he cuts across in front of the Alpha Tauri. He needs to really watch where he's going here, because that is not what we want to be seeing. That looked very, very suspect there. You just got to try and get out of the way, man, because that's now a 5-second penalty for corner cutting, and you could have potentially caused an issue there, because Drew's now forced to pit. Let's just take a little look. And that has caused wing damage to Drew's car. So unfortunately there, Connor cutting back across the circuit. So that's unfortunate for Drew there, that he's had to take the pit stop and now drop back down the order, losing 2 places to Mechanical and Error 6. But meanwhile, we look back towards the top of the order. We ride on board now then with Grimmy in the Mercedes, so we can view the battle that's going on ahead. Is he going to be the one to capitalise on RP Line Angry Dutch Guy? He's on the soft compounder tyre. Angry Dutch Guy now on the soft tyre, on RP Line on the slower compound medium tyre. So he's going to try to stick with these two guys and see if they make a mistake. He sets the fastest lap, a 1:12.957. What an excellent lap that is under race pace, especially just behind these guys. But he's got some a bit of dirty air to contend with. It's not overly nice to follow people around here, because any undulation, any unsettling of the car can cause big issues, especially out here just on the exit of this bank corner. You want to try and get the power down nice and easily then as you power your way up the hill and down the dip towards sector 2. It looks like Angry Dutch Guy has very much got this under control. Remember, this is his home circuit. This will be the one that he would want to win. This will be the one he'll be expecting to win and expecting to control. But he just can't seem to be to shake RP Lai and Grimmy. Grimmy once again showing an excellent amount of pace around here. Someone that I've noticed personally who's come on leaps and bounds in the league so far is really improved in pace and raceability throughout this season 2 that we've just seen. So fantastic drive from him. He'll be happy so far sitting on that podium. Meanwhile, the gap back from him is 1.5 seconds to Ryan's Alpine. You can just see the 3 of them there in the distance. You can see The Angry Dutch guy is trying to break that toe, but RP Lai manages to dive it down the inside into turn 1. So RP Lai once again taking the lead of this race. With 4 laps remaining, could this be it? He could potentially seal this tournament right here, right now, and put his stamp on Season 3. Will he be the one to beat? Because personally, from where I'm sitting, it's looking that way. As we see Connor sets the fastest lap now, 1:12.907, and Ryan has DNF'd. We've lost Ryan's Alpine round here. Very much the same issue as what Scotty had, as Blumchum sets the fastest lap at 1:12.5, having pit for his new wing already. And yeah, it looks like Ryan may have just touched that outer curb on the exit of the right-hander at the bottom of the hill. You just don't want to put the power down there. As we said earlier on, it can be a cruel mistress, especially with tyre temperatures constantly increasing throughout the race. But Quick Killer's then awarded a time penalty. This raises everyone else back up the order, but meanwhile, it looks like RP Lai is escaping up the road from Angry Dutch guy, who seems to be falling into the clutches of Grimmy's Mercedes. The three of them then running now 4 seconds ahead of Quick Killers, who is the next car back, and then Error 6, who is a further 8 seconds behind that. So Error 6 though running currently P5, his best position so far of the season. So let's hope he can stick with that. Let's just check the penalty situation. He's got 3 seconds. He currently sits 3.3 seconds ahead of Mechanical's McLaren. So he's going to want to try and hold that gap through these last 3 laps. As we see him run a little bit wide there, he's going to lose a bit of time, so he has lost out on that gap. And there, he just spins it, turns it into the wall. That is not what we want to see. He's just pushing very, very, very hard there. We see him now trying to make that turnaround, just to try and limp that Williams back to the pit lane. Meanwhile, up top, we can see Grimmy trying to make that move on Angry Dutch Guy, who covers off the inside line, but it's not enough because the Mercedes finds its way past. The Mercedes of Grimmy then finds himself now sitting P2. RP Lai hoping that these guys continue this battle because it's allowing him to escape up the road. He's now out of DRS zone range of Grimmy's Mercedes, so you'd expect Angry Dutch Guy to potentially be able to catch back and nick that position back. We had a yellow flag, sectors 1 and 2. Not quite sure what that was for. Didn't get a chance to see that. But look at that there. There we see Angry Dutch Guy running very deep and allowing Grimmy to escape up the road. So it seems to have spread out once again. We've lost an awful amount of cars in this race alone. Like I say, Zandvoort can be an absolutely cruel mistress, and trying to run it solidly is very difficult. It's quite a technical circuit due to the undulations, but one that's very rewarding to get a victory. And it looks like it's going to be, once again, RP Lai as he rounds the corner now to start lap 17 of 18. It's such a shame we've lost so many drivers in this race. And that is Quick Killers out of the session as well. So sector 2, we've lost Quick Killers down at the bottom of the hill, once again making the same mistake. That's now 3 or 4 drivers we've seen make that mistake. You can see the corner here where RP Lai has managed to just hold it within the boundary, has allowed him to take and carry all of that speed through the turn there. So that's what you want to be doing at that point. RP Lai leaves this race then from Grimmy, from Angry Dutch Guy and Mechanical's McLaren running P4. Connor in P5, Drew sitting P6, 7th goes the way of Blumchum, and Error 6 sitting 4 seconds behind the Ferrari of Blumchum, now running those soft tyres, a fresh wing following that very unfortunate spin just a couple of laps ago. And there we see yet another retirement. It would seem the same issue. Once again, Connor in the Ferrari, tapping that inside wall. These boys need to be really careful of that because it seems to be causing a lot of issues. and it's something that you kind of notice. Yeah, after the first 3 cars have lost it there, you kind of notice that seems to be a hot spot for accidents. Anyway, we are now left with just 7 runners here in Zandvoort. On lap 18 then, RP Lai sits 1.6 seconds to the good. In fact, make that 4.6 seconds to the good if you include Grimmy's penalty, of which he's going to want to try and extend on Angry Dutch Guy. So we will now just wait this out. The gaps are now quite major as we see RP Lai head round the final few turns here in Sector 3. And that seems to be a McLaren in distress once again at that same turn in Sector 2. Tyres going off now. Tyres getting very hot. Like I say, the front left does get bloody hot round here. But it's RP Lai then who takes victory here in Zandvoort. And I think has managed to take the championship already. But nevertheless, congratulations to both Angry Dutch Guy and Grimmy for both picking up podiums there. Grimmy's penalty, unfortunately, allowing Angry Dutch Guy to pick up that P2 from him, but fantastic race from the pair of them, nevertheless. As we now see Mechanical crossing the line in P4. Drew Cam will take P5, Blumchum 6th, and Error 6th, rounding out in 7th place. So points for those boys, but a bit of a messy one, that. So there we have it. RP Lai taking P1, P2 goes the way of Angry Dutch Guy, and P3 goes to Grimmy in the Mercedes. P4, McLaren Mechanical, the commentator extraordinaire, and P5 goes the way of Drew Cam. P6 goes the way of Blumchum, who set a sneaky fastest lap there on the final lap of the race, 1:12.5. Error 6 finishes in 7th place. The rest all DNFing for one reason or another. Unfortunate there that it was a bit of a messier race than we'd have liked to have seen. Not necessarily what I'd no, it's not bad from the back with 4 spins, but it's yeah, not exactly what I'm hoping that it's all made up for here in Spain. I'm watching this, hoping for excellence. So we will be right back with you as we head to Catalonia in Barcelona. Please bear with us whilst we sort the grid and the scores out, and we will see you very, very soon for the final race of tonight's tournament. Right, so you join us now for the final round here in the LNR pre-season tournament, which has been fairly definitive, I think, so far, in that RP Lai has actually already won the tournament. So he is one hell of a contender then for Season 3, and he gets his name on that medal. If you're watching, please stay tuned to Facebook tomorrow, because there's going to be a fair amount of updates, because there's loads of stuff that I forgot to post that I should really post. But we are yet to do that. But we are informed that there's no formation lap now in this round due to time constraints. We want to try and get this done by around midnight. But anyway, here we go. We are now lights out. We are now 12 racers as we head down towards turn 1. And there's carnage at the back already. That seems to be Angry Dutch Guy, Grimmy and Scotty all getting involved in that, as Connor now takes the lead down towards turn 1 from Error 6. The pair of them have been having this sort of same sort of start all evening. As we now look back, 17 laps now of the Catalunya circuit. What can we tell you about Circuit de Catalunya in Barcelona? It's been an F1 circuit for many a moon, and personally one of my favourite circuits actually. A lot of people don't like it very much, but the pit strategy here now for soft runs will be lap 6 to 8 of 17, and that's another car off the circuit. That's Error 6 turning himself around. I think concentration is starting to drift from a lot of the boys tonight, and that's Mechanical and Drew both out of the session, and I think that looks like one hell of an accident as Error 6 decides he's going to cut the grass there. Angry Dutch Guy retiring from the session as well. Looks like he's lost it going into the left-hander up the hill towards the other incident as well. So we've lost 3 drivers all in the opening lap. We now have a safety car, and we are once again sitting behind Bert's safety car. So that is once again a disappointing start, really. So that's unfortunate there for Mechanical and Drew both coming together. Looks like Drew may have had, from what I'm hearing here, a little bit of oversteer. He was on the opposite of the racing line, and unfortunately a little bit of oversteer just launched him across the circuit. And then by the sounds of things, Mechanical just got his tyre stuck on the inside of Drew's side pod there. So unfortunate end for both of those guys on the opening lap. That's the tournament over for them. But we must say now, congratulations to RP Lai, who's been absolutely massive tonight. mega drive in all the rounds, managing to keep himself out of trouble, keep his nose clean. He's an excellent driver, and I'm sure he will be a force to be reckoned with throughout Season 3. You will catch him next week in the opening round of Season 3 driving in that Alpha Tauri. And I think it could well be one to really watch. Keep your eye on that, because I would personally be putting money on that. I'd back him really for Season 3, because I think the consistency level that he has, and his one lap pace for qualifying is excellent as well, personally, from a perspective of having raced with him in the last season. Very good driver, very difficult to beat, and he's very consistent. So there comes to winning championships, he may well be your man, because whenever he's not on the podium, he's always picking up decent points. So one to watch for sure, and yeah, I'm sure we'll hear from him at some point during Season 3. One of the ideas we are hoping to implement is to have a few driver interviews with the comms team during qualifying or before qualifying, whenever is best to do so. But so that you guys get a little bit more of an insight from each driver, and you can sort of hear their thoughts on things, and just try and get an idea on how they're doing in the championship, and get their perspective on what's going on. Because yes, we can get the comms perspective on everything, but equally I feel it is quite important to get a driver's perspective ahead of a race, because it can offer a bit of an extra insight into what they're planning on doing. A lot of the time we can sit here and we can guess strategy, but there is another point where you think, well, you know, did a driver mean to make that strategy, or was that just a bit of luck of the draw? So that'll be great to hear from a few drivers as well ahead of races in the near future. So the cars are all now bunched up behind Bert. He's in this lap. The lights are now out on top of that Mercedes there. So we will be racing here at the end of this lap, and theoretically we'll complete this lap and DRS should be enabled. So it's down now to Connor in that Ferrari. Ryan now sitting second in his Alpine with Standard just behind for company. This is Ryan's best restart position so far, so he'll be looking to take a good result here, because once again another driver that throughout season 2 has looked very competitive and looked very, very quick, and towards the end of season 2 really came into his own and picked up a few podiums. And you know, season 2 was an excellent season for us. We've had 10 different race winners, but there's all that chance for more. But it looks like Connor has decided now is the time to go as he exits the final turn here in Barcelona, pulls to the inside to try and cover that attacking move from Ryan off. As we now ride on board with Ryan, we look back off the rear wing of that Alpine and we see RP Line making the move on Woolsey. Woolsey cutting back to the inside, has a bit of a moment on the inner curve, and he has a turn. So looks like we've lost Woolsey's Alpine from the fray, and it's RP Line then that gains P4. It didn't look like there was necessarily any contact there. It just looked like maybe Woolsey lost it on the curb, but Stander now in that Mercedes nipping the gearbox of that Alpine there, and really trying to push a mistake from Ryan. But we know Ryan to be a very consistent driver. He's looked very, very strong towards the end of the last season. So will he be able to hang on to that P2 position? Stander now, and there's error 6 now gone from the session. Woolsey still involved, still there, but it looks like error 6 has just lost it on the run up the hill. Very much the same place that we lost Mechanical and Drew. There's no safety car for that. It's been cleared away fairly quickly, but Connor now sets the fastest lap, as you'd expect, having carried out that restart, and makes his way down to turn 1 from Ryan, who's now finding Stander, making that move up the inside, dives a little bit deep, carries it through turn 2, covers the inside line, shuts the door and gets the move completed. So that's a fantastic move as Ryan runs a little bit wider, trying to carry a bit more pace than the Mercedes to try and get a run back up the inside, because he now knows he's got RP Lai nipping at his arse end just to try and make a position up and once again extend his lead. So far, of all the 3 rounds, we've seen RP take 2 victories and 1 second place. So we've seen him on the podium in all 3 rounds. Can he make it 4? Can he make it a clean sweep of podiums? And really, really just, this is a mental message to drivers here that he's quick. Man is quick. Meanwhile, let's have a little ride on board with Blumchum. Let's have a little ride on board with Blumchum. He's going to try and work on his consistency here. Connor once again setting the fastest lap, but that's beaten very, very quickly by Stander. He sits 1.5 seconds behind him, setting a 1:20.281. DRS now enabled on lap 6. We've finally got some DRS, as you can see, just ahead of Blumchum. Ryan defending desperately against the Aston Martin of RP Lai, who just tries and tries and tries again. Ryan running once again wide on that turn, opening the door potentially. RP Lai looking to brake a little bit later, gets the inside line on that turn and gets the move done. as they now all pile their way down. Tom Blum is going to be looking to get the move done. He's going to try and capitalise on this. No, he can't quite. Let's just take a little look on the details then of stops, because Blum has already stopped. So the guys ahead of him, he knows they're going to have to make that dreaded pit stop. If there's no other safety car, this could really play into his hands, because he could actually be a potential net race leader at this point if other cars have to stop under race pace, as Ryan tries to make that move back up the inside of the hairpin, heading up into sector 3. And it looks like he may well have got it done. He may have got it done, because we see RP Line tumbling down the order now. He has tumbled a little bit there, so we don't quite know what's happened to RP Line. Stander then diving into the pit lane, making his stop, which will allow Ryan back past and Blumsham back up onto the podium. In fact, Stander now dropping down the order due to that pit stop. Woolsey also opting now is the chance he's going to take to make that stop. 10 laps remain then here in the championship. But I think it is confirmed mathematically that RPI is your tournament champion. So it's confirmed that due to the issue in Zandvoort as well, Connor has been demoted 3 places on the grid following that collision after his incident in which he was driving slow on the racing line and caused Drew to have to make a pit stop. It is now also mathematically confirmed that RP Light is the champion. So we will be updating on that, and he now holds both of the tournaments that we have ran here at LNR. So Ryan then, now your leader here in Spain, the current only driver not to have pitted. So this will potentially play, like we said just before, into the hands of Blumsham, who has Scotty sitting right behind him in that McLaren. So Scotty's looking for that second podium. As he said earlier on, they are looking for that second podium. The comms team really want to try and push themselves to a limit here tonight and try and pick up a few good results. Unfortunate ending for Mechanical there on lap 1 of this race, but we see the McLaren of Scotty just trying to push that Ferrari down the road now as they enter sector 3. Ryan now just over a second to the good, but with a penalty. Blumsham looks like he runs very, very wide there on the exit of the turn, allows Scotty that position. Scotty slips that McLaren straight through, capitalises massively on the mistake from Blumsham. But what can he do down this start-finish straight? He heads through the DRS detection zone. He's got Grimmy right behind him. The DRS wings will now open. So who's going to have the better run? Theoretically, you'd think that Mercedes of Grimmy is going to get an excellent run on Blum. Despite the DRS advantage of both of them, he would have had the better slipstream and the softer compounder tyre, but he can't make anything of it at this moment in time. So this is the tightest battle going on at the minute. Ryan has pitted, which means that this is now your race for the lead. Scotty running P1, Blumsham now P2, and Grimmy in 3rd place on the podium as it stands. These guys are head and shoulders now above the rest, 14 seconds to the good, so we will stick with this battle for as long as it may last. Just over a second and a half separate all 3 cars here. As you can see, that medium tyre, just as Blum tries to push that medium tyre, he just can't quite get the grip on the exit and get the power down. It looks like Grimmy is not really struggling, sticking with him. So once again, they file round down into the technical sector 3. Very similar to Russia in a sense, with these tight hairpins towards the end of the lap. Just slows the drivers down and just means that it's critical to get a good run on to the start-finish straight. 9 tenths now separates the leader from Blumchum. So Scotty and Blumchum now 9/10 between them. Blumchum's wing opens up and allows that DRS, gets that extra downforce, gets the pace, but not quite enough. He closes 3/10, but that is not enough. Both guys running medium tyres. You'd think here advantage Grimmy, but looking at the penalty status, let's just take a little gander here at the current penalties. 3 seconds then for Grimmy, so he's not necessarily going to be able to make that position change stick. Tom Blum up 8 places and Scotty up 7 places, so the pair of them having an excellent race. In fact, Grimmy as well having an excellent race to try and make up those positions as well as they did. As we continue on now, we're now at the halfway stage. I'm over halfway pissed now as well, which is not very good. But it's been a long evening. We'll have wrapped up about 3 hours worth of a stream here tonight in 2 parts. But once again, apologies for the technical difficulties we had earlier on. It seems to have been sorted now, but we can see Blumchum once again chucking that Ferrari to the left and to the right, just trying to maximise everything he can. But unfortunately, we've lost as well the interval timing, so we don't actually know how far Blum is away from the McLaren, but we can guarantee it's over a second because that rear wing hasn't opened, and that's going to allow Grimmy to make the move. Now, this is where maybe the Ferrari of Blumchum needs to stick with Grimmy, but there's a big moment there through turn 1. He's just lost it through turns 1 and 2. The interval timing is back now. He's 8/10 off of that Mercedes, having just made that move. And we see RP Line now is on the rear of Stander. He's managed to get that position done. It looks like Stander may have disconnected from the lobby as well. But Scotty now leads this race quite comfortably, 1.2 seconds ahead. Grimmy with a 3-second penalty. And Blumchum now out of DRS range of the Mercedes. So this race really spreading out. Unfortunate for Ryan because he was running in an excellent position, but unfortunately it just didn't quite work out for him. And towards the end there, he made that pit stop and you know, I'm not going to say it was the wrong timing. It was just luck of the draw, and unfortunately there was no safety car necessarily. We've seen many a free pit stop tonight. It's been a tough evening for the guys. You know, it's usually, this is a week off. This is a bit more of a fun race. But equally, everyone wants to win. Everyone wants to do well. Grimmy then sets the fastest lap, a 1:19.8. Remember, he's on that soft compound of tyre. He's got 5 laps remaining. Sector 2, yellow flag. That's now been cleared. So we are good to continue racing. But Grimmy now has that one. He's just shy of that DRS zone, so he can't quite pull the advantage. And you remember, you're going to want to maybe use a couple of laps. You've got 2 DRS zones, but very spread apart here in Barcelona. So unless you're very consistent around this circuit, and sometimes it's one of those circuits where you need to be, you know, consistent, not necessarily quick, just consistent. The line means everything around this circuit. Let's continue then through watching Blumchum, who's just sitting 2/10, 1/10 out of DRS range of Grimmy. So he's going to want to try and regain that. The big moment in turn 1 cost him quite a lot of time, really, in the grand scheme of things. But we see RP Lie now jumping in to make his pit stop. So unfortunately for him, it will be a P8 finish. But not unfortunate because he is the tournament champion and he is one to watch, like I said, one to watch for Season 3. As the drivers now embark on lap 13 of 17 here in Barcelona, you can see Blumchum pushing that ERS. He's now back within DRS range. He's now 8/9 off of the rear of the Mercedes, but that gap seems to open up. He seems to, with that medium tyre, not quite have the advantage going through turns 1 and 2. So anything he makes up down that start-finish straight, he loses out on. So making that move could be a bit nerve-wracking. You can just see the ability to put the power down. Let's just take a little look then at the telemetry. Let's just try and clear a bit of the screen away here. Keep the telemetry up on the screen and just keep an eye out on how the car's behaving through some of these turns, because it will really display exactly how those tyres are now performing. Because Unfortunately, we don't get the AWS graphics as often as I'd like to see with, you know, tyre performance and wear percentage and things like that. But we can sort of try and gauge it on comparison as to when he's braking, as to when someone like Grimmy or Scotty are both braking, because they are on the soft compound of tyre. So you've got to remember that Blum now only needs to stay within that 3-second range of Grimmy, but you watch him now through turns 1 and 2. Let's just skip to Grimmy here. He's full power, brakes at around the 50 yard board. Blum brakes the same, but will struggle getting the power down, has to linger that 4th and 5th gear, and then has to lay right off in 6th gear just to make it around that long right-hander. So that's where he's losing the time. That's where he's losing a massive amount of time, because he's now dropped another 4 tenths back from the Mercedes, purely on the fact that his tyres just do not have the same grip level as those soft tyres. And this is one of those circuits where you do notice the difference quite hugely. But look at that, Grimmy is not actually catching Scott, because Scott is now out in clean air. Further back down the order then, we better have a little look further back, because we can see that Ryan is now trying to make a charge then on Connor. Sector 3, we have a yellow flag, and that's a safety car. That is a safety car for some bizarre reason in Sector 3. Lap 14, we now have the safety car coming out, so this could make things very, very interesting once again, because it will back Scotty up into Grimmy, it will back Blumchum up into Grimmy, and that will potentially bring Wolsey right into contention here without a penalty. So let's see how this all pans out. As we start lap 15, you can only expect it to be out for about a lap, because we do need to have one racing lap, so you can expect it to come in on lap 16 potentially. We'll run this lap and maybe one other, but I would massively expect it to not be out for very long. So will Wolsey and Stander have enough time to catch up the rest of the pack here? Because these guys, these three, have really pushed out 25 seconds ahead of 4th place. So we will just sit with this now and see how it all works out. You can see a few of the guys behind opting to pit early doors, try and get a bit of an advantage, get on that soft tyre, get the grip advantage, because we've just seen exactly how much more of an advantage you get through the first section of this circuit through having fresh soft tyres. That grip advantage is massive, but we'll see how that pans out for them. If they're racing against each other, it may be a bit more of a level playing field and let these front runners get ahead. You never know. We still don't actually know what this safety car was for, but it's in this lap, so we will get racing again this lap. So it's only out, Bert is only out for a lap. That's a first. Bert is a man full of surprises, so let us get rid of this telemetry. Let's try and get rid of some of these menus, and let's get rid of all of this and see how Scotty controls this restart from Grimmy and Blumchum. Let's see how this pans out. And he's not choosing to go yet. He's going to get it round this final turn, and just towards the end of the last turn he goes. But look at this Alpine that's just come out of nowhere. I don't quite know. Is that Wolsey actually? Is it happening? Is that... No, that's Ryan who's managed to jump on the back of Blumchum. So Ryan has come out of nowhere. And in actual fact, you can see that Blumchum has got the move done on Grimmy. Grimmy, who's dropped down the order. He's had an issue going into turn 1. We may have just missed that. Did he somehow lose grip? The camera angle was all wrong going into turn 1 there, but it looks like Ryan has now come out of nowhere, picked up P2 on the soft tyre. Look at him going. That is a fantastic, fantastic move. He's kept it tight, he's kept it clean, and he's managed to get himself up to P2. He has got himself a penalty, so he's going to need to try and run as quickly as he can, but it looks like he may just snag himself a podium position from out of nowhere. What an excellent piece of capitalising on an issue that we didn't even know was going to be there. But wow, like I said earlier on, another driver that has just shown absolute consistency in the second half of this season and has really picked up points and got himself on the podium multiple times towards the end of Season 2. In fact, Season 2, Ryan managed to achieve a fair amount of podiums towards the end. He got 4 in the second half of the season. So, and unfortunately, the last one he got was a second place, and I know that one because that was a fierce battle between him and myself in China, in which I do feel genuinely sorry for making a move on the last lap, but it needed to be done. But I do apologise for it. It was a clean move, I may add, but a fantastic drive nonetheless. But look at this, Connor now sitting behind Blumchum, and will he be able to make a move? Probably not now, sitting just that far back. But Ryan now all over the rear end of Scotty, and that's him off the circuit. As we cut to him, that is Ryan gone from the session. There we see all of the talk I just gave him. Unfortunately, looks like it may have gifted Connor a P3 finish here. Let's just have a little look as he sets a fastest sector 2. Let's just get the penalties up on the screen, but Connor looks like he may be losing it, and it may allow Blum to just pick up that. It will allow Blum to pick up that P2 with the penalties on the screen right now. So Blumchum picks up P2, but Scotty looks like he's going to be the man who rounds the final corner to pick up P1 here in Spain for the final round of the pre-season tournament. So Scotty taking the victory, Mechanical getting the victory in Spa, but what an excellent drive from Scotty. He's commanded that all the way through and held off Grimmy on the soft tyre, which is absolutely excellent. Connor then picking up his first LNR podium as such, along with Scotty and Mechanical. But congratulations to all the drivers today. It's been an interesting tournament. I felt a little bit more sloppy than usual, but it certainly gives us a bit more of an insight into who we'll be looking at Season 3, because I definitely think that you've got some great runners there. Unfortunate for Ryan at the end there, losing out on the last lap. But I definitely think Ryan's one to watch. I definitely think Grimmy, and I 100% think RP Lai is one to watch running into Season 3. Quick Killers, unfortunately, coming a bit unstuck tonight, it would seem. A little bit more inconsistent to what we've seen. But once again, that could all change come next week when we visit Russia for round 1 of the LNR Season 3 league. But for tonight, it looks like we've had, once again, another great tournament. RP Live very dominant indeed, taking the victory in Russia, sitting second on the podium in Spa, and then sealing the deal with a P1 finish in the Netherlands. For Spain here in Barcelona, we've had Scotty winning the race in P1 from 8th on the grid. Blumchum finds his way to 2nd, and Connor joins them in the 2nd of the Ferraris. From pole on the grid, he joins them for a P3 finish. Woolsey making his way from 6th on the grid to P4 in the Alpine, and Grimmy unfortunately losing out in the last couple of laps, finishes P5. Stander finds his way P6, just a lap down, and Ryan unfortunately DNFing in the second to last lap there, finds himself sitting P7. RP Live finishes P8 and rounds out his tournament victory with Aston Martin, and P9 goes the way of Error 6. 10th to Mechanical, Drew Cam takes 11th, and Angry Dutch Guy in 12th. All of the last 4 drivers DNFing. And what an evening it's been. 3 hours of stream. Plenty of racing action. Plenty of interesting racing action. But you can see there, RP Live taking the championship from this reset lobby as well. If you add 25 points onto that, you get the final points tally, which is about 72 points, I think he finished on there. So a fantastic effort from him, and thank you ever so much for joining us. Just remember, next week we'll be starting at the earlier time of 9 PM, ready for the start of Season 3. We'll see you all there. Join Colin and Scotty as they take you through all the action next week. I'm going to get myself ready for it. I've got a week to do so, but I've also got to make some highlights. So keep an eye out on the Facebook page. If you don't already, like, and subscribe to the YouTube, like the Facebook page, follow us for all the info, and we are sure to keep that content coming to you. There's going to be the Season 2 highlights. You're going to have plenty of stuff to look forward to in the coming weeks. Remember, between now and May will be Season 3 action throughout, so please keep involved and enjoy the racing. Until next time, we'll see you soon.